What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to ICNV Drivers Edition. Today, I want to get into a conversation I've been having with a couple people on Facebook Messenger, and it's going back to what I sat there and said when GM announced that they were going to void warranties on the C8 Z06 if the cars were being flipped within a year, which later got reduced to 6 months. As you see, if you hop on AutoTrader, Cars.com, Car Gurus, and so forth, there are C8 Z06s for sale after 1 month of ownership. Let's talk about it.
Move on from the grave and put your foot on the gas. No, never stop competing, yeah. I've been doing this, I'm on it. I just wanna be iconic. Sipping on a gin and tonic. Got me going off when I'm on this topic, yeah. If I ever play, I want it. You know that I'm always honest. Stay away from those who are toxic. Keep them out your face, no way, you don't want it, yeah.
I was having a conversation with a couple of subscribers on Facebook Messenger, and what came up was somebody actually mentioned they were surprised that the cars are getting flipped so quickly, and we're talking about the C8 Z06. And what I sat there and told them was it wasn't going to stop people from flipping a car. The only thing it would do was probably slow down a lot of people that weren't true flippers. And the reason why I said it wasn't going to stop people from flipping a car, well, let's take a step backwards. When GM came out and said they were going to void warranties, like I stated back in a video prior to this last year, is that the minute they made that announcement, I have friends that are still in the Chevy business and friends at Ford stores and so forth. I'm talking about sales managers. And instantly they went into trying to figure out ways to get around this. And I explained to you back then that, hey, with GM voiding the factory warranty on the C8 Z06, my friends or sales managers that I know at the Ford store said it wasn't going to stop them from trying to purchase the C8 Z06 if somebody was willing to move the car. Why? Because they felt like the aftermarket warranty offered by the Ford Motor Group would still cover the C8 Z06. When I started talking to my friends that were working in GM stores, which is Cadillac, Chevy, Buick, and things of that nature, they started reaching out, and the biggest trick to them all is they have aftermarket companies that will warranty the C8 Z06 if the warranty is voided. But the biggest factor is GMPP will still warranty the C8 Z06 even after GM voids the manufacturer's warranty. So what actually happens? And that's what I want to talk to you about. But before I dive into that information, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, join the ICNV Driver Edition community. We talk about interesting conversations that my community brings up, or not only that, we share videos, create some interesting posts, and I have a lot of fun on this channel as well. So if you're looking for a way to pass the time with something interesting, become a subscriber, hit that bell notification, and check out the videos as they come up. Now, let's get back into this video. So as I was having this conversation, I was sent a link to a video uploaded by Phenom where he goes over the outrageous prices that are being asked for C8 Z06s and how many cars have been flipped. And I was actually going to do some research touching bases, but I don't want to overlap the same information that he talked about. So what I will sit there and do is just say, take a look at his video so you can get a better understanding of how many cars are actually on the market right now advertised as used vehicles, and everything that GM is trying to stop hasn't really worked. These cars are still being flipped, they're still being sold to dealers, and the only thing we haven't truly proven as of yet is that these cars are being exported out the country. But I'm sure if you do the research, you can stumble across that too. But in the midst of all that, Phenom actually came out and showed that several of these cars are being sold in the high 200,000s to close to $300,000 for a C8 Z06 on the used market. We even found one that was I'm not going to say posted for sale by Ciocca, but like I've already stated beforehand, that no one knew who the first 30 cars were allocated to at Ciocca, but I had a contact that told me it was close friends to the dealership, and yet we see one of those first 30 cars listed for sale within 1 month of ownership. I don't know how that makes you feel if you sit on a list at Ciocca right now, but they got their car for MSRP, and that car is listed for sale for, I believe, $246,000 or $274,000. So they're definitely trying to flip it, but that's a whole nother conversation. So if you want to see more about the crazy markups, take a look at Speed Phenom's page. He goes over the cars that have been flipped so far. But what I want to get into is, I guess there's this actual belief system that because somebody says something, they actually believe it to be true. And that's kind of the time that we're in. I made a video on this a while back. I'll try to connect the link so you can see it beforehand to see how fresh it was. But what's actually taking place is the C8 Z06 is going to be flipped. It's still being flipped. What actually happened by GM coming out and saying that they're going to void the warranty, it makes many people like yourself or potential buyers rethink how much you will pay for a C8 Z06 on the used market. But what actually happens is it stops the flippers to an extent. And what I mean by that is, if I was going to flip a C8 Z06, which I'm not, but if I can get a C8 Z06 and then I can turn around and sell it on the used market to a dealership, because most people want to unload the car to a dealership so they can get the money right away. It's actually a little bit more work to sell the car to somebody else that's a non-dealer. We can talk about that in another video. If you like, just drop that information down below in the comments. But so if I'm selling it to another dealership, whereas they originally might have gave me, say, $60,000 over MSRP for the car, and they were going to try to make their money off the $40,000 markup, which equals a total of $100,000 over MSRP. Well, now what they sit there and do and say is to the flipper, man, we're going to catch a hard time trying to move this car, which is a lie. So they may now give the flipper $30,000, $35,000, or $40,000. They reverse the role. So now the flipper only gets 40 grand over MSRP, and now the dealership tries to turn around and make 60,000 of profit for selling the C8 Z06. Whereas if we left it the way alone, if GM would have never came out and announced the voiding of the warranty, then the flipper could have made more money. So their goal was to discourage people from trying to flip this car. At the same time, they also understand, and I want you to hear me again when I say this, GM knows what is going on. They sit back. They know the average markup for this car that people agreed to pay before it ever hit the streets was $50,000 over MSRP. Most dealers, if you go out and do a poll, which I've actually talked to 126 dealers since starting my C8 Z06 challenge, and out those 126 dealers, about 80 of them, 80 out of 120, and it was over like 126, 80 dealerships were charging some form of markup, and what was the most consistent was about 35 to 40 grand. But there were a lot of dealers saying $50,000 over MSRP, and they had over 20, 30, 40 people on their list. I just thought that was crazy that so many people would commit to paying that up front. We're talking about May of 2022, that people were committing to pay this type of money. Now the car has actually hit the street and there's a little hype behind it, and it's really hard to get. People, like I told you beforehand, we're going to start bumping themselves up. Now, I don't want to get too sidetracked with that, because it is what it is. I know people are going to start commenting and saying you're crazy to pay anything over MSRP, you're a fool, and so forth. At the end of the day, man, to each his own. Like I tell everybody, you do stuff to enjoy life, because at the end of the day, we're all going to die. That's the one thing that's guaranteed for certain, and you can't take any of it with you. So why not enjoy your life? So if you spending money, extra money, to obtain something that's going to help you enjoy your life, by all means, do what works best for you. But getting back to this whole point of this video, why did I tell people the flipping was still going to occur. And like I mentioned to you earlier, because these cars still are being sold with warranties. For some odd reason, many people think because GM said they were going to avoid the factory warranty, that there were going to be no warranties on the car. But look at it this way. The only thing that happens or changes is now the aftermarket warranty goes up a little bit more in price because they know you have no option but to turn to them. Instead of getting a $100 deductible, maybe they give you a $200 or $250. So what? If you're willing to pay $40,000 over MSRP for a car, I don't think paying $2,800 or $3,000 for extended warranty is going to be the deal breaker. I don't think paying a $250 deductible before they work on your car is going to be the deal breaker. That's just me. So anybody that's willing to take that step and get a vehicle that the factory warranty was voided on, and trust me, there are a lot of people out there that will, those minor markups is not going to break the deal. So now you have to ask yourself, are you willing to go out and get one of these Z06s that are listed for $100,000, a couple are listed for 70 grand, and are you willing to pay the deductible and the markup for the extended warranty? And I'm going to tell you, and the people that are willing to pay $50,000 over MSRP will probably say yes, especially to get their hands on the car today. Now, the last thing I want to cover in the midst of all this is I'm actually very surprised, and I've kind of been wrong. So one thing Speed Phenom also pointed out in his video is that a large amount of these markups are for basic cars. And I'm going to take a step back for you. He brought out an interesting theory, and his theory to me isn't wrong. I'm going to tell you what I noticed and what I see. That all the Chevy dealers that were willing to order a car for dealer inventory and then sell it for a markup, like I stated to you before in my video, they ordered a C8 Z06 anniversary edition, because to me that's the easiest car to mark up and get the value off the car. What Speed Phenom pointed out is what we're seeing from a lot of these luxury exotic car dealers that now have their hands on the C8 Z06 for sale. They actually have low spec, but I'm not going to say low spec, I'm going to say bad spec vehicles. Because as he scrolled through and pulled up several cars, they were 3LZs, but they were 3LZs with little to no optional equipment. So all the cars was coming in right about 131 to 128,000. And when you look at a 3LZ, especially a convertible, when I see a red two-tone interior, no lift, just some black side mirrors and the black, that to me does not justify 100,000 over MSRP, especially if I can get another 3LZ, namely an anniversary edition, two-tone interior, as they say, the Alcantara steering wheel and the Alcantara dashboard. To me, those type of additions, not the carbon fiber 1 package, that's the same package you get on the base C8. If you're going to put a carbon fiber package, they need to put the carbon fiber 2. So when I see somebody selling an over MSRP $120,000 car, and it's going for $120,000 over MSRP, and these are the options on it, not even the front lift, not even the Brembo brakes, just some rear calipers, to me it's not worth the money. So what I see is the flippers legitimately went for the cheapest spec car they can get that they assume would have some value, which to me was a 3LZ. So the most common vehicle we're seeing on the marketplace is 3LZs, non-Z07 cars with very minute options, and they're asking this crazy money. So those to me were people that had straight intentions on flipping this car, and they knew by getting a 3LZ they would get the most bang for their buck. But that's all I really got. So let me know if this video was informative to you. Let me know if it was helpful, if it covered the information that you felt needed to be covered. I just wanted to drop this information because, like I said, it was a conversation going on with with several people on Facebook Messenger and Instagram about these Z06s turning up on the used car market, so they're being flipped. And people were just surprised. I don't understand why you're surprised. So like I told you before, and I'm telling you again, if somebody's willing to spend the money, somebody will sell it. ICNV Drivers Edition. Please hit the like and subscribe, share the video. Don't forget to join the ICNV Drivers Edition community. Follow me on social media. If you got a topic you want to talk about, hit me up on one of my social media sites. But as always, until the next upload, stay safe, stay blessed, and I will see you in these streets. Peace.